So I wanted to make a brief video, spend about 5-10 minutes with you all just to make sure that you had the full details as it related to the review for the exam. So first off, great job everyone's been doing so far, making sure that we've had an opportunity to update the details from our quizzes. You all have done a good job on your individual presentations. You've also done a great job as it relates to the discussions. You've had some interaction, and then you've also sent me questions here or there that made sure that we knew that you had details needed to be clarified. We were able to clarify those details for you. But I wanted to make sure that you got a chance to look at the review document as related to the major themes in the first section of the course. Now keep in mind, this will be the midterm, and then the final will be cumulative. It won't be a cumulative exam, so it'll only be things. So once you see this material, you won't see it again on your final. So you'll have to prepare for the midterm, and you've got the exam will open up on Thursday and it'll close on Sunday, similar to the quizzes, but I give you an additional day for the exam just because I know you all might need some additional time as you're preparing the material. So the first thing that I wanted to discuss was just make sure that you go back and look at that State of States document. Healthy People 2020, the Healthy People goals were related to that. In the State of State document, there were a number of things in Cleveland County in specific. We looked at a lot of information in that first section of the course. You also looked at the section of the courses related to Cleveland County for our first quiz as well. If you all remember, we asked questions about preventable death, things like that. You'll see some information like that again, so you'll want to spend some time on the State of Health. CDC public policy goals, and then also you'll probably want to review the State of Michigan presentations that we had as well for the University of Michigan, where we talked about the difference between public health and healthcare, why public policy can become somewhat contentious, what are some of the goals of public policy in general. You want to review those videos again because you'll see some of that information as well on the exam. Of course, you'll want to know the determinants. The determinants are important, and they'll be webbed through a number of different exam questions. So how the determinants will work is you'll have information that relates to what are the determinants. You'll want to know things that are attempting to approve the determinants. And you also want information about some of the general questions that you all have worked on your individual presentations. How do they relate to the determinants, etc. So you'll want to make sure that you understand that piece of the detail. Section 1 again, and we've had determinants even in Section 2. So it shouldn't be very difficult for you all to identify and understand that. And it'll tie into root cause mapping as well. I can tell you now I'll be asking you to do a functional root cause map. That's something you'll want to prepare for also. Keep in mind, we started talking about the health indicators and TSET. So we started talking about the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust, what the state of Oklahoma is doing for tobacco in relation to wellness, how wellness plays a role into this with the state of Oklahoma as well. You'll see some individual information as it relates to that also. And then we had some major themes in each one of the chapters that I want to make sure that you all do a review as well. Keep in mind of things like coalition advocacy. You remember we did the chapter as it relates to that, coalition advocacy. What is public policy? You'll want to know how that's made. You'll want an idea of the 4 frameworks. You'll see that information as it relates to the 4 frameworks. And it's not that just you'll need to know the definition. You'll want to be able to understand how to apply some of this information as well. So for example, if I'm asking you about actors and how actors move through the 3 dimensions, you'll want to be able to understand that piece. You'll want to be able to come back and look at, okay, I've seen this information before. I understand what we're talking about as it relates to information as it relates to each one of the chapters. And again, keep in mind, all of the PowerPoints are on there, and then also the individual presentations that I've put up. So you'll have that information as well. Keep in mind the biomedical and social model of health. What are the 2 different models of health? How are they applied? What is it has been done as it relates to health promotion? You know, I'm just looking through a few things that I know that I've seen because I've got the exam up in front of me now. So I'm trying to give you all an opportunity to have an idea of where to focus some of your work. Again, you'll want to focus some of your work on the chapter presentations, the University of Michigan presentations, and then as well as the individual presentations. And as you look at the individual presentations that have been presented, and again, great job you all, you'll want to spend some of your time on the policy examples. So for example, if someone is talking about, let's say SIDS, or sudden infant death syndrome. What are some of the items that are happening on the policy front is what you'll see as a question. We wanted to have great framework and background as related to SIDS because that'll help you all as you're developing this process and understanding how policy and all of these items are connecting to the public health world. But we want to make sure that you're able to narrow down some of that policy detail as well. So you'll want to spend some time looking at those policies. But again, questions will be very similar how they were before. You'll have some multiple choice, some short answer. You will have some more where I'll ask you to explain some details. So it'll be more based on how I view what your understanding of that question is. But again, I'm not trying to trick you. It'll be just like the other questions that you've had before. So if you have any other questions after you viewed this video, after you've looked at the sheet that I put up that's got quite a bit of the material as well, and then as you've reviewed some of the PowerPoints, of course, send me an email. You can always send it to the ou.edu account, or you can do it right in the Canvas activity profile. I always have my device on me or a laptop on me where I check the ou.edu one as well. So either option would be good for you all. So I want to do a brief video for you all, about 5-10 minutes, to make sure that you had an idea of where we were going with the exam. And if you want any follow-up questions or anything that you have that you want to ask about, shoot me an email and I'll be glad to help you out. I want you all to do as good as you would like on the course. Obviously, there'll be a little preparation that you'll want to do, prepare your documents as you're reviewing this. But at the same time, I think you should all do great. Thanks again. If you have any questions, just let me know.